experience. Joseph Ligerwood, chef owner of a Michelin 2-star restaurant, steps up for a global audience. This is for anyone who loves K-food. News that brings Korean stories to life. K-Culture Dive. Delivering K-everything from lifestyle to entertainment and trends. Discover Korea's seasonal landscapes, major issues, exhibition and cultural venues, and diverse cultural news. You'll be drawn deep into the heart of K-culture.
During your study,
Wow, what's gonna happen?
Time to set the facts straight. Get Korea right.
다음 중 한국의 전통 의상은 무엇일까요? 그렇다면 한국의 전통 의상 이름은 무엇일까요?
정답은 한복입니다. 안녕하세요. 방크 청년연구원 이정호입니다. 한국 드라마와 한국 영화가 한류 팬들에게 사랑받으면서 한국 전통 의상인 한복도 주목받고 있는데요. 한국 문화 콘텐츠가 지구촌 곳곳에서 인기를 누리면서 한국과 관련된 잘못된 정보도 확산되고 있습니다. 그중에는 한복에 관한 오류 정보도 있더라고요. 제가 여러분께 한복에 대해 제대로 알려드릴게요. 곡선과 직선이 조화롭게 이루어진 한복은 단아함과 우아함이 살아있는 한국 전통 의상입니다. 또한 1600년간 이어진 고유 한복은 세계에서 제일 길며 그것은 고구려 고분 벽화와 신라 백제 유물로도 확인이 됩니다. 한국인의 정체성과 역사가 담긴 한국의 소중한 문화유산이라 할 수 있죠. 한국 바로 알리기 여러분도 함께 해주세요.
환영합니다. Welcome to K-Culture Dive, where we dive deeper into the heart of Korean culture with K-entertainment issues, AI culture news, K-culture and photos, and today we take a deep dive into the latest Korean language boom. And I'm your host, Kwon So-ah. Let's dive in. And starting off the new week with us is my co-host Walter Lee. Hello, Walter.
Hello, Soa, and happy Monday to all of our viewers watching. I'm Walter Lee, here to give you the latest in Korean entertainment, as well as co-host alongside the lovely Soa.
All right, lovely Walter. Let's start off with K-Enter News then. And we're going to kick off with BLACKPINK, who have joined a rather rare club.
A very rare club indeed. So on Friday afternoon, the powerhouse girl group, they smashed past the 100 million subscriber on YouTube. Now, they are becoming the first artists in the world to hit that massive number. They were awarded YouTube's ultra rare red diamond button, the highest achievement for YouTube creators so far. And there are only 16 channels that actually have this prestigious button. Now, the members shared their excitement in a video message to fans around the world, thanking them for helping them reach that huge achievement. It's such a big achievement indeed. BLACKPINK are also gearing up to drop their third mini album, Deadline, on February 27th. It's the first album release in 3 years and 5 months since their second full-length album back in September 2022, and that is this Friday, so don't miss out.
Wow, what an achievement that really solidifies their dominance worldwide.
Yes,
so congrats to BLACKPINK. And now, Walter, next up is a story that goes to show that you're never too old to fulfill your dreams.
Yes, this gives me a little bit hope in my life. So yes, if there was a night of heartfelt applause for 88-year-old first-time director Kim Dong-ho, the former chairman of the Busan International Film Festival, as he officially stepped behind the camera for his feature debut for Mr. Kim Goes to the Cinema. Now, Mr. Kim Goes to the Cinema marks Kim Dong-ho's first feature-length documentary, a reflective and deeply personal look into the state of movie theaters and the future of cinema, told through the eyes of a man who is dedicated to film. Now, after decades of shaping Korea's film industry from behind the scenes, Kim has now been telling its story from the director's chair. Now, both a time capsule and a tribute to magic of the big screen, Mr. Kim Goes to the Cinema is currently playing in megabox theaters nationwide.
All right, and lastly, news on the very talented actress Shim Eun-kyung.
Yes, she is very talented indeed. In fact, it's an historic win for Shim Eun-kyung as the actress becomes the first Korean performer ever to take home Best Actress at the Japan's highly respected Kanemo Junpo Awards, one of the oldest and most prestigious honors in the Japanese film industry. Now, Shim earned the trophy for her performance in the director Miyake Sho's film Travel and Days. Even more impressively, she's the first non-Japanese actress in 32 years since Ruby Moreno, who won it in 1993. Now, Travel and Days also claimed the #1 spot on this year's Best 10 list for Best Japanese Films. Now, taking the stage, Shim was emotional as she accepted and delivered a speech talking about the challenges she faced throughout her career. She admitted she questioned herself and even considered giving up, but this project, she said, reminded her of why she continues. Now, back in Korea, Shim is set to actually make her long-awaited TV return in the TVN drama Mad Concrete Dreams, which is going to air in March.
Can't wait for that. And thank you very much, Walter, for those updates.
No worries.
And now let's move on to our AI anchor Arirang for more on the culture front. Arirang, take it away.
Thanks, Swa. Here's your AI guide to the latest cultural headlines from Korea. Let's begin with our top story. K-pop solidified its global market dominance as South Korean artists swept 7 of the top 10 positions on the 2025 Global Album Sales chart by the International Federation of the Phonographic Industry, or IFPI. Stray Kids led the K-pop contingent at number 2 with their album Karma, followed by 17's Happy Birthday at number 3, and Enhypen's The Desire, Unleash at number 4. Other top-performing albums included TXT's The Name Chapter, Together, I've Empathy, and G-Dragon's Ubermensch. The IFPI Global Album Sales chart aggregates the total number of units sold across all physical formats, such as CDs and vinyl records, alongside paid full album digital downloads worldwide. South Korea's retail and hospitality industries enjoyed a tourism boom this month as Chinese tourists flocked to Korea during their 9-day Chunjie Lunar New Year holiday. Between February 15th and 23rd, Lotte department store saw a record-breaking 260% surge in sales from Chinese tourists, while Lotte duty-free saw sales to foreign customers jump approximately 70% compared to last year's holiday period. The tourism boom extended beyond Seoul, with Grand Hyatt Jeju reporting a 100% occupancy rate during the holiday, as travelers from the Greater China region crowded the island. The government plans to continue expanding customized tourism programs and benefits for foreign tourists to keep up the momentum. Snow sledding hills at Duksam, Tamon, and Yeouido Hangang River parks drew a record-breaking 180,850 visitors during their 50-day run this winter season. That's the highest attendance since all 3 locations opened simultaneously in 2023. This season's turnout represents a 30% increase compared to the year before. Seoul City government plans to repurpose the Yeouido and Duksam sites into year-round cultural hubs by hosting pop-up stores and various exhibitions to ensure the parks remain vibrant destinations across all 4 seasons. That's all from me. Turning now to a quick look at more K-culture stories making headlines today.
Through a single photo at a time, we take a closer look at culture in Korea. This is K-Culture in Photos. Let's start with one Korean word, 나물. It means seasoned greens, edible plants, often wild, lightly blanched and dressed with sesame oil, salt, garlic, or soy sauce. Now take a look at these. Don't they look delicious and healthy at the same time? As winter fades into spring, these fresh greens begin appearing on Korean tables. They may look simple, but 나물 represents seasonality, balance, and nourishment. Recently, 나물 drew global attention again through the Netflix series Culinary Class Wars Season 2. There, the monk/chef Venerable Seonjae presented a temple-style vegetable bibimbap, a humble bowl layered with carefully prepared 나물, each seasoned separately to preserve its natural flavor. Now a new trend is blooming online. The 봄동 bibimbap challenge. 봄동, a tender spring cabbage in peak season from January to March, has seen online mentions jumped more than 500% compared to last year. Affordable, healthy, and easy to make. Now, which 나물 would you add to your own bowl of spring? Take a look at this place. This is 청령포 in 영월군, Gangwon State. At sunset, it glows in quietly soft gold. By day, it feels quietly timeless. Recently, visitor numbers here have surged after the hit film The King's Warden brought renewed attention to the tragic story of King Danjong, a young king of the Joseon dynasty who was exiled to this very place after losing the throne to his uncle. On his way to exile, he is said to have rested where Seondol overlooks the Seogang River. Today, visitors cross the river by ferry just as he once did. During the recent holiday period, tourist numbers reportedly jumped more than 5-fold compared to last year. As you can see from this long line here, they are waiting for the ferry. Near the parking area stands a statue of Danjong and his queen Jongsun, hands gently touching, symbolizing the reunion in heaven and the love left unfinished on earth.
And here, the reconstructed royal residence, Tanjung's temporary palace in exile. It seems history still lingers in the air at Cheongryongpo. Do you see it up in the sky, that Taeguk symbol drawn in white smoke? Can't quite see it? Then take a closer look. Yes, that's the Korean flag painted across the desert sky. This is the Republic of Korea Air Force's Special Aerobatic Team, the Black Eagles. They recently performed at the World Defense Show 2026 in Saudi Arabia, the team's first participation in a defense exhibition in the Middle East. Air shows are often described as a way for a nation to present its strength, especially its air power, in a spectacular yet peaceful way. And the Black Eagles do exactly that, elevating Korea's national profile while opening doors for international exchange and cooperation. Their formations almost look like migrating birds, as you can see here, or mysterious symbols drawn across the sky. Precise, powerful, poetic. And on the ground, pilots from the Black Eagles and the Saudi Hawks stood together in front of the T-50B aircraft, holding both nations' flags. So now when you look up at the sky, do you see just planes, or do you also see a country introducing itself to the world? After the Lunar New Year holiday, this is what many neighborhoods are left with. Mountains of discarded styrofoam boxes used to package seafood, fruit, holiday gifts. But what if this waste could become something else? Some Korean artists are transforming discarded styrofoam into powerful installations. Look at this snail carrying a blooming rose and that dignified stag standing tall. There are colorful, almost playful pieces and others that feel profound, resembling trees or rugged stone. Some sculptures feel bright and lighthearted, almost cheerful. And to think all of this was made from discarded styrofoam, the same material but a completely different story. When we throw something away, maybe it is not the end of its life. It could be the beginning of something new. So now from the taste of spring to stories of kings, from skies filled with pride to waste reborn as art, today's images tell a story of renewal.
Korean is no longer just the language of K-dramas and K-pop. It's becoming a global learning trend. Is this simply another ripple effect of K-content's global popularity, or are we witnessing a deeper shift in the cultural standing of the Korean language itself? To explore what's behind this latest boom, we're joined by David Tizard, Professor of Korean Studies at Seoul Women's University and Hanyang University. Welcome back, Professor Tizard. I feel like saying 환영합니다 today.
감사합니다. 안녕하세요. Thank you very much. It's wonderful to see you both again. Thank you for having me on the show.
Lovely to have you on the show. So, Professor Tizard, it seems like last year there was a particular Korean phrase.
Yep.
I might sing it now.
Please do.
영원히 깨질 수 없는. That might have been one of the most popular Korean phrases last year. Of course, it's a part of Golden from K-pop Demon Hunters. So how do you think this particular phrase has become such a hot phrase?
It's a hot phrase, maybe there's a couple of things that are really interesting about this. First of all, that's a really difficult song to sing. So well done on attempting that on television. What I love about people around the world learning lyrics through Korean pop songs is this. It's that if you go back to the 90s, the 2000s, before and after, you had Korean people here learning English through pop songs, watching episodes of Friends and How I Met Your Mother, struggling with this foreign language, trying to master it and show their cultural competency. And now, in 2026, the situation has flipped. Now you have people around the world, they're listening to Korean language songs, they're watching Korean dramas, and they're trying to learn the language. So I think it's wonderful how times have changed, and I would love to take this back to people in the 90s, right, in the 2000s, and show them in 20, 30 years, it's going to be very different because they would not be able to comprehend that shift. The second thing about this particular phrase about, being unbreakable, one of the reasons that I love my daughter's fascination with K-pop and with K-pop Demon Hunters, with Golden, which she sings on the regular, is that it's a positive message. In sort of turbulent times, in ambiguous environments, things like this, the messages that come out, and this particular one, Forever Unbreakable, I should say, sorry, the Youngwon이 part, is that it inspires and it motivates and it encourages. It doesn't sort of gaslight into negativity. It doesn't force depression or these kind of things, but it's like, let's go. You can do this. So there's a couple of very interesting things about this phrase becoming popular around the world.
Right. And actually, some figures do show how much of a growth we're seeing in people learning Korean. For instance, in the US, a major language learning app shows a 22% increase in people learning Korean through this particular app. And then there's also more university courses that teach Korean. So do you think a brief Korean lyrics such of that of Golden can actually really lead to people genuinely wanting to study this language?
Yes and no. It might just be the owl notifications coming up on people's phones telling them to do this. There is a growing interest in Korea, in Korean language, in Korean culture. I think it's a little bit of a challenge to put everything on one cultural product, whether it's K-pop Demon Hunters, whether it's Parasite, whether it's BTS and so on. Because what you can really do, and this sounds a bit weird, but you can trace this all the way back to Winter Sonata, right? You can trace this back to 겨울연가, and this comes out 2002. And this was the first real time a Korean cultural product, it was a drama, has gone abroad. And Japanese people, particularly Japanese middle-aged housewives, they were fascinated by Bae Young-jun, Yeon-sama they called him, and they started buying calendars, photo cards, learning the language, coming to Korea to visit Nami Island and all the sites, and it's been growing steadily ever since then. Yes, there's been some ups and downs, but from about 2002, you've had this growing number of people all around the world slowly wanting to learn Korean, and this reflects not only the success of Korean cultural products. They're now spreading further than Japan. They're going out into the world. But it also shows people's attitudes towards, there is a country here called South Korea. And we've all seen it online. People might say, where are you from? North Korea, China. And it gets missed a bit. It gets a little bit lost, very sadly. But now people are very much aware of it. So this growing language, is it all because of that one Golden lyric? It's nice to say it is, but this has been growing steadily for a couple of decades now, I think.
Right. Listening to those like 겨울연가 and those other K-contents really shows how we had these key moments in the chronology of interest in Korean language. But I think because we have that platform like Netflix, it helps in spreading it much faster than before.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you there. So, Professor, you did say that you had a daughter who seems to be obsessed with it, and she's right at that age, I think, where she understands it, she wants to learn everything about it, she wants to replicate it. So what other expressions became widely known through K-pop Demon Hunters? Is there anything that she says on the regular or you hear?
My daughter is fluent, hello Elizabeth, my daughter is fluent in Korean, so for her, she will hear terms, or people will hear terms in K-pop Demon Hunters, like 선배, like 후배, like 막내, and these are not specific to that film, they're not specific to K-pop. We still use 막내 in a family sometimes as well, and 후배 and 선배 in an academic or a professional setting. But these are Korean cultural terms that don't really easily translate. We don't use them in the West. There are, of course, different cultures will have honorific terms, but I think what you got with K-pop Demon Hunters was you were getting things like 막내 going out of the K-pop ecosphere into broader society. You had people that weren't aware of this suddenly becoming aware. You had things like 대박 coming in, you had the honey ones, people suddenly asking about the Joseon dynasty, Gat and the Honmuns and all of this. So yeah, these maknaes, hubes, sombes, this was definitely a part of people becoming interested in the culture.
Yes, and you did say that like some of the things we don't really use in English or Western society, and some of it doesn't translate. So with the popular Korean lyrics from rhymes from K-pop dramas or K-dramas and gaining attention, could you maybe give us some examples of some expressions that cannot be, fully conveyed through translation?
That's a really difficult one because the translators now are so skillful. We were talking before we went on air about your linguistic skills across 3 different languages. Back in the early 2000s, when these Korean cultural products were being translated, the translators were obviously doing their best, but they didn't always have specific knowledge of the Korean culture and the culture that they were translating into. Now we have this amazing group of TCKs, third culture kids, people well versed in multiple environments, and they're able to, as a job, sometimes as a hobby online, they're able to translate these terms in a way that anybody can understand it instinctively, And this happens sometimes. You get celebrity figures. We have people like Darcy Parkett, who does Bong Joon-ho's movies and that. But it's on Netflix, and the reason people can watch K-pop Demon Hunters, sometimes a foreign language movie, is that the subtitles are done so wonderfully. I'm sure, just like me, you've been in conversation, right? And we say, how do you translate this? How do you translate gosuhada? How do you translate taptaphada? Han, nunchi, jong, all of these terms, it becomes very difficult. But thanks to these people, and the availability of Netflix, you don't have to download or install something. The streaming services do it for you. So is there anything that's untranslatable now? That might be a broader philosophical question because, everything's a spectrum. There's love and hate in every society. There's emotional intelligence. There's bonding. All of these things exist. And I think rather than saying concepts we can or cannot translate, it's up to us as humans to open our minds to these concepts there and go, I can begin to understand this through empathy and welcoming and openness.
I feel like it's getting a lot philosophical now.
Sorry.
No. I love the idea. Yeah. But Professor Tizard, do you feel a different atmosphere in your classrooms? It's because you also have foreign students.
Yeah.
Are they more enthusiastic towards learning Korean these days?
Yes and no. What I've noticed over the last sort of 15 years of doing that is that I now encounter more students, more international students who are able to speak, read, write Korean at a very high level. That's because for the most part, they're in their early 20s. They grew up with 2nd or 3rd generation K-pop and K-dramas. They've had it in their mind to come to this country. It's been a dream. So it's not just this instantaneous, they've learned Korean, but they've been doing it for a decade. They've been doing it through their formative years while this has been at its peak. So I've noticed a huge increase amongst the linguistic ability of some of my students. And that's a challenge for me, and that's inspiring for me to look at them and go, that's amazing what you are capable of achieving. And of course, there are some students that come and they can just sort of say, 안녕하세요, and that's about it. So it does vary, but it's so warm. And I've noticed how Korean people react to it, by the way. In Korea, if you look like me, for example, and you're able to say, 안녕하세요, 삽니다, this kind of thing, people react so very warmly to you, and all you're doing is that. And when you can go beyond that, I love the way Korean people react to other people speaking their language.
And finally, Professor Tizard, there are probably a lot of challenges for overseas learners when it comes to these complex honorifics and hierarchical expressions that you earlier mentioned. So do you have any personal tips? And also very briefly, do you think this Korean language boom will continue for a while?
To answer your second one, yes, it's going to keep going. Of course, there will be different things that come up. You've got Bad Bunny, you've got Puerto Rico, you've got the Latin thing coming. One thing that I tell my students, which they sometimes miss, is in Korea, when you speak, it's not what you say, sometimes how you say. Generally, you have to look down in Korea. A lot of my students will walk into a room and they'll go, 안녕하세요, and they'll look me in the eyes as they say it. And I'm like, no. You look down in Korea. You have to understand through your nunchi the different hierarchical positions. So speaking the language is one thing, then living and being the language through your body, through your mannerisms and through your eyes is another thing.
Okay, and on that note, 교수님 감사합니다.
네, 감사합니다. 네.
Thank you very much for your insights as always, and we're looking forward to next time.
Thank you.
And 감사합니다, Walter. We're going to
감사합니다.
see you back here on Wednesday.
See you on Wednesday.
Thanks for watching and your interest in everything K-culture. Please tune in again tomorrow, 2 p.m. Korea time, and keep diving.
Curious about what's special about K-content?
In recent years, Korean cultural content has taken the world by storm.
So, what's your favorite K-content? Movies, dramas, music, exhibitions?
Are you ready to take your pick?
Starting with globally acclaimed K-movies. It's no longer rare for Korean movies to receive awards at international film festivals. And we can't talk enough about the K-drama sensation.
It's not surprising that drama filming sites go on to become major tourist attractions.
When we are on the topic of K-pop, we can't leave out idol groups. They are the driving force of K-pop.
K-pop idol group members do not only have exceptional singing and dancing skills, but they have the looks too. I'm a huge fan.
I really like Korean underground music. These days, talented K